Good morning, Joel Peters, Planning Operations Trainee with the Devil's Knob Complex. Provide you with an operational briefing for Wednesday, September 15th. Branch 1, kind of a little bit of a broken record on some of the sections, which is actually a good thing that we keep repeating some of the same. A lot of patrol and mop-up are continuing along through Division Foxtrot, all the way up to DP13. Yesterday, we've got a new IR map for today. We didn't have it the previous shift, but it shows quite a bit of activity yesterday. That was the main fire doing that yesterday, and it actually helped us out a little bit. Just kind of mostly burned through the understory and cleaned up some of the fuels between the main fire and our control line. So that was actually a good thing for us up there yesterday. They didn't do any firing operations. That was the main fire moving around a little bit and actually helping us out by fattening those control lines. So today they're going to kind of just keep an eye on that stuff. The only plans of firing up there is if they need to keep even with something, so something doesn't have the opportunity to back down that slope and then make a run towards the control line and potentially cause some spotting. So that'll be the only time they'll do any firing in there as well, just to keep even with it and not prevent any issues. Further out, past DP29, all these spots that were throughout there from before are all looking really good. Have not had any issues in there. Gulf, still focusing primarily on the green primary containment line. Still a little bit of work in there with masticators, falling modules, getting the snags out of there and the like. So they're primarily focusing on that and just kind of waiting to see what the fire does out here. We've got potential significant moisture coming this weekend, so we don't really want to be putting any fire on the ground right now where we don't have to. We want to be only as aggressive as we need to be to keep the fire where it's at and not put fire on the ground, on the ground just to try and close something in right now. Now's not the time to do it. Just kind of go slow to go fast later if we need to. So that's the primary focus up here, is getting all that stuff in case the weather doesn't come as predicted, or after the weather it continues to dry out again and causes issues down the road, and then everything will be there and in place and ready to go. Yesterday, down in the center into Division Bravo, this area was extremely smoked out yesterday from the main edge of the fire. It might be hard to see, but we had some activity off this spot, some of the main edge in various locations, as well as some of the smoke coming from over in the Foxtrot Gulf area that really pushed east and smoked in this area very heavily yesterday. They weren't able to see in this valley at all, and that was basically all main fire. Nothing from any firing operations or anything like that was pushing that smoke east. So definitely some movement in there, but no issues in Ash Valley. These spots continue to move around a little bit down towards the road for our primary indirect line, but have not had any issues with spotting or anything like that. Mostly just burning on the surface fuels under the canopy and not really causing any issues. So got folks definitely in there ready to take any action needed with this if it tries to move around. If there is firing in there, it'll be kind of the same. If we need to square something up so we don't have any backing into a drainage that causes a run, and that's what we're trying to avoid. So if they do any firing in there today, it'll all be to keep cleaned up with stuff and only kind of as needed to kind of achieve our objectives. Down in Charlie, still working on a little bit of that alternate line, mastication and working on that. So that'll continue as well. Moving further back into Charlie, their primary focus is the uncontained line here on the southern end of the Smith fire. In the next couple shifts or so, hopefully see full containment on that piece as well. So just a lot of work with those dry, heavy fuels under the forest canopy, causing plenty of work in there for them. Pushing up into Echo, we did have this piece here that recently got contained, so that's good. That was kind of one of their heavy focuses, and they also got some equipment and falling modules keeping these roads open for fire traffic to be able to move north and south throughout the Smith fire. Moving down into Big Hamlin, our map's cut off on this one, but we really wanted to show was some of the IR that was on the north part for the Smith fire. So we're missing a little bit here, but really on the south end of the fire, it's kind of the status quo of we had that slop the south of DP 45. Once again, kind of that classic in the next shift or so. Hopefully that'll be 100% contained. That's where they're primarily focusing their efforts. And then on the west side, continuing to chip and prepare for some of the suppression repair going down the road into the future, dealing with some of the logs and the like that are in there and getting that taken care of with the host unit. Primarily, their focus in hotel is along the road here in the creek. They did do some firing operations several shifts ago to beef up that control line. Just once again, we really didn't want any movement to the north. We wanted to keep it right there. So they put only what they needed to in there to fatten that control line. And you know, they got still some movement in there. There's still some islands a little bit in deeper. It is moving around somewhat, but they are not having any issues holding the road or the creek at all, and haven't had any spotting. So night shift also spent some time down there last night as well, just to make sure it keeps where it's at, and they're just continuing to try and make this corner by DP41 to secure that as well, with a lot of mop up and patrol, and then just keep pushing on. And overall, Big Hamlin is in really good shape. If we do get some moisture, we definitely anticipate it to be locked in even more. So that's kind of the hope, we do get that moisture. But at this point, we're going to do everything we can on, we've got to think kind of more along the lines of, we're not going to get that moisture, because what if we don't? And that's kind of where our process goes on how we're thinking about some of the operations that are going out on the ground, because we don't know if that's going to happen and we can't count on it. So that's kind of the push in that direction. Hopefully it happens, but can't count on it. Air operations, we do have an air attack that we used yesterday as well, and hopefully we can use them today, as long as there's enough clearing at these higher elevations to be able to utilize them. They're just fixed wings, so they're not able to get as low as a helicopter can, so we're limited at times on their use. And then we still got the the Type 1 helicopters, and then the two Type 3 helicopters as well. Thank you.